Hey everyone! About this time last year, as the pandemic was first starting to spread throughout the United States, we made a video that just speculated on what that meant for not just our lives as full-time RVers, but also for RVing and travel in America in general. But now that the pandemic is starting to wane, there's that light at the end of the tunnel as vaccines are really starting to roll out. And in fact, Ro is actually scheduled to get her first dose tomorrow because she's got some heart conditions that allowed her to get a little further ahead in line than me. Unfortunately, I've got to wait a little bit still, but that's okay. But yeah, now that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, we're ready to party like it's 2019. So as the pandemic starts to go away, how will that affect RVing and travel in the United States?
Now, we saw that 2020 was a record camping year as well as a record RV sales year. And 2021 is projected to be even busier than 2020. And we believe that's because as the pandemic starts to wane, but people still might feel unsafe, and other countries are still closed and things like cruise lines aren't traveling or anything like that, people are still going to want to get out this summer and they're still going to want to do it safely. So they're going to pick camping with family, they're going to pick going to state parks and national parks because those are open right now. And so this year, I can definitely see how it's still going to be busy, especially for RVing. However, as the pandemic starts to wane, farther into the year, we definitely feel as though 2022 is going to see a decrease in camping. But we definitely don't think that those numbers are going to go anywhere close to back to the numbers back in 2019. Because, those people that are out camping in 2020 and this summer, they might fall in love with it. And I'm sure that many of you that are watching right now know what that feels like. I mean, we know what that feels like. We love camping perpetually. So we don't blame anybody for wanting to continue doing that in 2022. So for those of you that may have noticed that RV parks, state parks, national parks are harder to get into now because, the RV sites are all filling up and people are camping more often, I don't really think that we're going to see a decrease in that. So all this busyness in these parks that you see now, I don't think that's going to go away.
One of the results we've seen from this record camping boom is that places that used to be, a 14-day stay limit for, boondocking areas are now starting to get turned into day use areas or even being shut down to camping completely. A boondocking area near Las Vegas that we actually were looking forward to visiting this year, we arrived at and we noticed there were signs all over the place that said that these areas that you used to be able to camp in for 14 days are now all day use only. And that's not the only place. The Prescott National Forest near a very popular area of Arizona, near Sedona, sort of Camp Verde, Cottonwood area, was shut down because it was, just getting overran with trash, and the forest rangers just needed, a breather, essentially. They needed time to clean up all of the trash that was being left behind. And they were expecting to be reopening the Prescott National Forest here pretty soon. But we've read that they're actually postponing opening it back up to camping because there's just been such a huge increase in RVing and camping that they're afraid that if they open it up now, it's just going to immediately get overran again. And then another one of our favorite boondocking areas that's just north of Phoenix, Arizona on BLM land, we've noticed, we actually stayed there earlier this year, we noticed it is way busier than it was just last year when we stayed there. And, last time we stayed there, we didn't see any BLM rangers or anything. And then this time around, we saw that they were patrolling the area. And if you guys know, the BLM, just like seeing a ranger patrolling an area, in our experience, is just super rare. So now seeing that there are BLM rangers patrolling that area is a little worrisome for us because it means that they're very concerned about that area. And, they might start to restrict, where you can camp. And, we've actually seen BLM areas get shut down because there's just too much damage being done to the land in that area. And we're afraid that they might be considering that as well. And then when it comes to national parks, especially the really busy ones like Arches National Park, which Ro and I visited last in 2019, we've heard some rumors that they've been considering turning those into lottery systems where, you can't just drive right on into the park. You have to, basically put your name in a hat and hope you're selected to be able to get in. We heard that that Arches National Park was considering doing that back before the pandemic. So now we're actually really afraid that, the busiest national parks, like Arches, maybe Yellowstone, Yosemite, they might be considering or may implement lottery systems any year now. And that would be a huge bummer because it's just really hard to plan around a lottery system. You can't just drive on in. Well, you couldn't really drive on into Arches anyway, I guess. Last time we visited Arches in 2019, there was a huge line to get in, and they were only allowing, as one car drove out of the park, one car could drive in. And we sat in line for a pretty long time. And I think we went in on a weekday because we were like, if we go in on a Tuesday or whatever, we'll be able to just get right in. So I can only imagine how hard it was to get in on Friday and Saturday. And that's without a lottery system. So I don't know, that would just be a bummer if they started implementing those.
Another result of the RV camping boom is that Walmarts and Cracker Barrel all across the country are no longer allowing overnight parking for those that are traveling across the country. And if they're not allowing overnight parking and RV parks are all booked up, people are going to have a really hard time finding spots to stay for the night while they're on their way across the country to somewhere they want to go and stay. Now, Walmarts have been working on shutting down overnight parking before the pandemic even hit. But we have seen a lot of Cracker Barrels that we have tried to stay at or that we have called ahead of time to see if they allow overnight parking. And some of them have even said, well, we used to, but not anymore. Or they have said, you can try, but you might get woken up at like 4 a.m. and asked to leave. And so we're seeing a lot more of that. But there are some very RVer-friendly places that you can overnight park, like Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops. If you know of any more, comment them down below for other people to know about. But what we might see is some of those places that might not currently offer some RV amenities like full hookups that you can pay for or water or dump available, they might start including those. They might put in some RV spots that you can buy for the night, or even that you can just stay for a week. And we have been to some Cabela's that have actually done that, and we think that that is very cool. And so we're kind of thinking that that is going to be what's going to happen. Up until this point in the video, we've been sort of negative about the camping boom, but I really want to talk about some of the positives. With an increased interest in camping and national parks, we may see some people get more into conservation of areas. We might see an increase in funding in these areas, and we all know how national parks, national forests, BLM land are very underfunded. And more funding just means, better experiences for everybody. And so, we might see something like that, but even if we don't see something like that, I am so happy that people are getting out and seeing the country that maybe never would have done so before. There are people trying out boondocking that never would have thought to do something like that. Oh, she's fighting really hard. A little playful kitten. There are people that have never been to a national park that have now seen one for the first time, and maybe the beauty was so stunning that it's on their bucket list to see all of them now. Just the love that people are experiencing going out and visiting these awesome, epic, beautiful places, that alone is something so positive to take from this, because loving your country, loving seeing awesome, beautiful formations, you guys know, you just can't beat that. There's so much beauty around. And for us, the pandemic coming to an end is so exciting. We're going to be able to hold meetups again. We're going to be able to go to big RV shows again. We're going to be able to camp with our friends again. For almost an entire year now, we have virtually been completely alone because for us, the safest way for us to travel was to be completely alone out in the middle of nowhere. And that can create a lot of loneliness. But when it comes to meetups, we had to cancel one this last year because of the pandemic. And I am so beyond stoked, guys, to be able to meet some of you, to be able to hang out, to get to know you, to be able to camp with our friends like Thomas and Stacy again. I mean, it's almost here, guys. We are so close. And being able to meet you guys, being able to camp with our friends, it has been something we have been daydreaming about since the pandemic hit a year ago. So there are so many positives that are going to be coming from this camping boom, from the pandemic being over, and I hope that you guys out there are just as excited as we are.
The pandemic and the resulting camping boom has undoubtedly changed RVing and camping in America, some for the worst, but some for the better. But what we know for sure is that the light is at the end of the tunnel. We can see it, guys. We are so close. We're almost there. And we are so excited. We're actually going to be able to share this experience with people again, where, up until this point, we've been a little afraid to do that. And I know that Sweetie is so excited for that, and she doesn't even know it.
She has no idea.
She loves people so much. The meetups we've had, and all of you guys that she got to meet, she had a blast. And whenever we're sharing this campsite or traveling with other people, she always has the best time because this dog just loves people.
She loves them so much. And with the pandemic coming to a close, what are places that you guys are most excited to visit again? Whether that's, friends that you want to go visit, or if you want to go travel overseas and visit something you've never seen before, or national parks or state parks, leave those down below where you guys want to visit first when this pandemic is all over. And I mean, it's not completely for selfish reasons to know of cool places to go and visit. It's also so
jot those down for ourselves.
Yes, taking notes here. It's so that other people can also know about some awesome places that you're excited for.
But that's all for this video, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. We'll catch you next time. She didn't even wait that time.
She didn't even wait for me.
Bye, guys.